Hi, Anya. We're back again, and sooner than the last time.
We haven't waited a month this time. We're back in action. So it's nice to see you all and it's nice to be connected back in. Welcome to our channel if you're new here. I'm Anya Lily from Spiritual Soul Centre. Yet again, my name is not correct today. I need to have the extras on there, but here we go. So yeah, Spiritual Soul Centre, and we like to dive into all things mystical, magical, and give weekly, hopefully, energy updates and frequencies of what's been going on. And we channel through what's been coming on, and we like to share that with you guys. But we do like you to get involved, and we do, again, want to do questions and things like that. So please make sure you're interacting with the videos, leaving comments and questions underneath, because that really gets us excited. And this is the beautiful Z. I'm sure she'll tell you a little bit.
From Z Collective and Quantum Game Changers. And we love coming on here also to just be real in our humanness as well. We have all of the energies about, we have high energies and spirituality coming through, and also like what does that interpret in our bodies? How do we work it in our real life? And how do we embody that?
Yeah. Well, I like that. How do we
Juicy.
embody it? Because that's the thing. It's all good and well being a great channeler or a great psychic. I
Yep.
actually know some fantastic mediums, psychics, channelers, like fantastic, incredible, amazing, pedestal level. But then they were recommending you to get the jibber jab in 2020.
Yep.
So says it all, doesn't it? It says it all what you need to know. And it really blows my mind. I guess that's what led me to the understanding of spiritual awakening and your own kind of awakening, which involves not just the spiritual side of being a reader or connected to spirits, because ironically, you can live a kind of human life doing that. You can have set times being a reader, certain ways that you channel and things like that. And then it doesn't directly overtake everything in your human life. But when you go through an awakening, a deep level awakening of the schooling system, the medical system, the government, the whole thing, the media, you realize everything,
Everything
everything.
moves through that physical interpretation.
Listen to any songs anymore.
Yep.
You can't eat the food you used to eat, use the product you used to use, see the people you used to do, go the places you used to be. You just can't do any of it anymore. And it changes your whole life. And so there is a huge difference between that, between being awakened and between being spiritually open. And I think that just needs.
I think there's a distinction there that I definitely want to pull up. And this is a no offense to channelers and readers. We are that ourselves, right?
Also,
You
channelers
know,
are.
we also do that.
I'll
I've
let you.
also noticed that, those channelers are very potent. And then, several of them have come to me on the back end and they haven't been able to work it through their physical reality. And that's where the embodiment of this whole process is, because how can we bring that into what we're doing right now? And in order to do that, that does mean shift. That does mean you have to change. That does mean this isn't going to work for me anymore. That means this person is no longer my life anymore for me to be able to fully embody that. And that's where we get to be on here because that's the challenge of it. That's the realness of it. That's the authenticity of it. We're not, well, I'm going to say fucking around, just just a
Why
put
not
on a
be?
face for you guys, you know?
No, and I love that because it's really true. Like, I struggle with it because I'm one of them. I'll keep you connected for as long as I physically can because if I love you, I really want to keep connected with you, family, friends. I'm a very deep, loving person and I have deep connections with you. So I really will fight for that bond. And recently I've been triggered in some ways. And I'm sat there thinking, how am I meant to work through this? Because me embodying this doesn't look like just sitting there silently ignoring it. But it doesn't look like that. But I also don't want conflict. I also don't want the separation of the relationship and to damage the relationship. But I also can't just sit in silence because that is damaging me. And so I'm having to kind of navigate what the Jeff does this look like? How do I work through this? How do I kind of like move this layer forward and actually communicate in a way that I'm standing my own and feeling like I'm honoring my truths and embodying my truths, also without the consequences in the
Sure.
human realm. And sometimes don't work like that. Sometimes it's not received in the way that I intended it to be. And it does create conflict, or it does create a bit of a shutdown or a disconnect for a small amount of time. But kind of after it, in the long run, when I look back, I think, well, I'm glad I still embodied what was right for me and my intentions were pure. And I
Totally.
kind of feel like that's the best you can do in these situations, because there's not always going to be people that are going to meet you in this open hearted, non judgmental, non triggered, and defensive fight or flight space. We're all human. I'm not judging them, or like I'm not judging myself. I'm sure I do it. But I guess all you can do is honor your own truth and kind of communicate it as kindly as you can, but also know you cannot control the response. You can only give it with pure intention.
Absolutely. And that's where some of that fear base or acknowledgement comes through. And a lot of times we shut ourselves down. I've had plenty of these experiences the last little while where I'm like, no, something needs to be said now. And I have full permission to say it. And also, I respect the other person's perspective. That is very real to them. I appreciate it. I do want that perspective in my existence because it helps me grow. And also, this isn't appropriate for me, and that's a boundary, right?
Yeah.
Or this
Yeah.
is communication, or this is something that's going to have to shift out. That doesn't work for me.
100%. Yeah. And it's also like I'm not delivering it with anger anymore, or like this whole
Defensiveness.
scenario,
Yep.
because I'm not fearful about it, because I'm not insecure, because I'm not questioning the validation of it. I know that's what I need, or that I didn't like what was said, or I know that that's not something I'm comfortable with, or whatever it is that's triggered me. And ironically, motherhood usually initiates it 99% of the time, because what I have around their ears and their energy is very sacred. And so if you're coming with energy, I might not mind if you say it in front of me. Personally, if you said it in front of me, I might know you're saying that from a place of insecurity and fear. So I don't really care, and I'm not going to get triggered by it. However, when it's said in front of my children,
Yep. Oh, watch out.
because a whole new situation going on, because their little brains are molding. And if you for 1 second think I'm going to allow the normalization of this energy, then you're very wrong. And there is times where I do have to put boundaries in place, and I do feel uncomfortable, and I do have anxiety about it, and I do not know how to do it in the best way, and I just try my best. But I know my intentions are pure, because I'm trying to protect their brains and their energy and their space.
Yep.
And if I find it something that I don't feel comfortable with, then I'm going to have to say it, regardless of the conflict that may create if it's received with defensiveness. Again, that's not my fault, you
Yeah.
know?
Or your problem or any of that when you're
Yeah.
standing for truth. And I want to just circle that, try your best. I want to bring that just fully forward and our ability to fully accept that because we're going to do stuff wrong. We do it all the time. I do it all the time. I say stuff that I'm like, oh, wow, that is not what I was intending
That's not
to
what I
say.
meant.
My body was just like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, nope. Can I fully accept that that's not how I wanted it to be perceived? Can I accept that I was wrong? In the space. And that's totally okay too. This is a process of being able to speak your truth, own yourself, and move through the triggers in your nervous system that are coming through the space. And I feel like, more so now, absolutely my body can handle that. It's just like, oh, look, there's a wave. All right, what do I need to do with that now? Because there's my discernment, right? Taught me something.
Right. Right. And it is a big thing and I guess sometimes I struggle with like you say, I do say stuff wrong. I do struggle to, you know, if I get emotional, vulnerable, that trigger for me is a difficult one. Like if I feel there's very many layers to me, but the vulnerability one is a big one. And it triggers this like whole defensiveness in me of like, no, let's go, and
Yeah,
that literally, I'm ready to go. And it's a really hard one I've been working through practically my whole life, but recently, consciously working through it a lot. And man, it's so hard. And I think the reason why it's so hard, and this is in no way a cop out, let me
sure.
just acknowledging it too, because I've also like been having to have these conversations with myself. But this sacred rage that exists, right? I don't know about you guys, but being a woman for me, I love it. It wouldn't be anything different. I would never choose personally to be any other being. I love being a woman. I think it's phenomenal. But I do think what needs to be acknowledged is the journey is completely different, just like everybody's is, men and different ethnicities and cultures and abilities and lifestyles. I totally get that. But coming from my personal experience as a woman, I just think it's so twisted sometimes, the way things are perceived, and
Absolutely.
this like disrespect that exists in the world
Yep.
towards women, and also the triggers of this even being brought up. Like that's hilarious in itself. And lately I've been trying to unpick this explosive trigger in me and that defensive trigger in me that comes with kind of no control. And I do, that's again, that's a cop out because there's always control, but it feels so overwhelmingly, it's like fire. It's like my whole body is already gone before my brain can even think to intervene. And again, it's only slight triggers. It's when I feel vulnerably attacked, when I feel like my emotions are being used against me, or I feel like I'm trying to be vulnerable and it's being twisted, then
Yep.
whoa, whoa, it sends these alarm bells off that just create this like whole sacred rage. And it's not always sacred, let me say. Sometimes it's not sacred rage, sometimes it's actually just rage. And I'm really working on it. But I feel the point of it is what I'm trying to make is I'm having to unpick what's mine, right?
Yep.
What's my emotion in that current moment, the trigger, the scenario, the childhood emotional triggers behind it, the root of the wound. But then also, as a woman and as a being who's lived as a woman for so many lifetimes, I'm feeling this rage
Totally. Totally.
of suppression, of not being understood, not being held, not being seen as the divine being that we are as women, especially as you go through the time when you give birth and you're pregnant. It's blown my mind, the disregard for women that exists in that time. Oh, just leave them there until they sort themselves out in a few years. It is wild
Yeah.
that is the most important time for them, for kids, for society, for everything. And it's just, anyways, that's a whole nother bracket over there. But the point is, I'm feeling this deep rage and I'm having to unpick it. It came up a few years ago in a plant medicine ceremony and it's popped up a few times since, many times. But I guess I'm only just now starting to actually translate the embodiment of it. I understand the concept of it. I understand the frequency of it and where it comes from and why it exists. But I guess now I am understanding how to actually embody it without being afraid, ashamed, or fearful of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a huge
So
piece.
that's the thing.
It's a huge
Yeah.
piece. And for all of you who are watching and witnessing, if you could come to a time where you felt that, and this is non-gendered either. The masculine are coming up with their own stuff too, and they have
100%.
feminine running through there. I always
100%.
make a massive joke about this that I like came down in a Jurassic format because to move through this stuff because I tick mark the feminine. I tick mark the brown, right? I've got that piece going through there. The queer, right? My system and body works in like, the people that I interact with is a very soul heart based space. It's not a gendered space, right?
Yeah.
There's all of that coming at you. There's so many parts and pieces. So this rage for me has been very intense, very multidimensional. It's very layered over so many years. I'm like, oh great, like I've got a brown piece on the table. And someone just, I got to judge me because I'm brown and I'm little, right? So like
I love your face, James. Like, I'm gonna get you.
oh. And I've got, this really deep, like, I call her my black girl because there's like my soul feels like a black girl, right? She just gets in and she's like,
I feel it.
oh, no, no, no. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Literally.
And
Literally.
it's heated, it's huge, and it's okay, what am I gonna do with that right now? What am I gonna do with this
Yeah.
in my body? How do I work with it? How does it express itself? And now of course before it was like, I'm gonna take myself out of this arena into the mountains so that I can just be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I show it when I'm out. I don't suppress that anymore. I'm like, if I have some rage coming up, I allow that aspect of myself to be there, and then take a breath and say, hey, now how can we create with this portion of it? What is it? What does it want to do?
Interesting. Interesting. Now I've got multiple. things going on here because like I kind of resonate with that. There is times where, and also what, yeah, connects to that. Like I have my friend's voice in my head and she's like, but sometimes if I allowed that rage to exist, I'd be in prison. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like, okay, that's, and so like, yeah, there is a line. Yeah, you got to have a line. You got to have a boundary and a line. And that's what I was like thinking there because there is obviously this human line of thing because we've not only got this like sacred rage, but then we've got maybe no teachings of regulation, no modelings of that, and no like healthy methods to communicate and release and ask for what we need before getting to crisis point. And so there's all these extra layers involved that then create that potential of it not just being like a healthy release of anger and it being then a consequential based thing that you actually didn't want to do and you didn't have the intention to do. But because of the dysregulation and everything contributing to it, it then leads down that path if there isn't them appropriate models and methods and like abilities to call yourself in a little bit. And like, you know, you've got to be able to have a cat point. And I must admit, sometimes when mine's blown, it takes me a minute to get it back on a little bit and to just go, right, get away, get outside, just go, you know, just calm your brain, get in a safe environment, let the body feel safe. And then once I have even just a minute, then my brain can allow these other options, choices, even if then the trigger is being rebrought, usually then I'm at a place where you're not setting me back off again. I've gained that control back.
Right.
And, you know, we're not going there. And, but it takes a minute. And if you are, for example, if it's a child that, like an adult child or a teenage child, that's kind of you and them are triggered and clashing, but having to live in the same space, I imagine that's very difficult because you can't escape it. You cannot leave. You have to provide safety and shelter for your children. And so I never really thought about it like that because my children are, you know, 2 and 1, so I'm not there in that space. But it's recently come up in a few different triggers, and I thought that must be really difficult when, if especially if there's all that sacred rage in multiple people in the house, and they're all feeling it from different angles, and then you're having to stay in that environment where it's constantly being re-triggered.
Right.
It's difficult for the nervous system to then work on how do you even embody that because you haven't dealt with your own, and then regulating and then being re-triggered constantly and then being on edge of another trigger because it might happen at any time, and then knowing that this is not going to end for quite a while. You know, that's quite a daunting experience that you kind of been thrown there, I guess.
I mean,
And I
I've
suppose how do we
experienced.
navigate that?
I
Yeah,
mean,
how do you
that's
navigate?
like that's the next question. What are these tools? You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
what happens when your murderous bitch is out?
Right? Like, let's just say it how it is, please,
Excuse me.
because,
Let's pull
you
this out
know,
to the table because I've found
yeah,
for sure, especially like with my background, she comes up and it's been teaching my body how to know that it's okay that she's there, but
okay,
she doesn't get to take control of the game, right? It's just
okay,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
facilitation of that narrative. And when it comes up and it's really a lot, my body will pause and be like, okay, it's here. I'm going to take a moment, put my music on, see what regulates, and have a chat with it, understanding that it gets to be there, but it's not the one who's driving.
okay. So almost like when the red zones come in and it's over control, is that maybe because they are battling for control of the consciousness? So you've got like the kind of rational thinking human, and
Definitely.
then that's also angry and pissed off. But
Oh,
then you've got like the actual psycho murderer over there that's wanting to take the reins, which every part of you knows is not right, but it's like this internal battle which causes the dysregulation, brain fog, not being able to communicate, not being able to regulate and do the things that you know to do. So almost like when that's present, literally just saying out loud to yourself, it's okay that you're here, but you don't get to take control.
absolutely.
I am, you know, I'm in control. And maybe even, yeah, affirming that and directly vocalizing that so
The
that the aspects that
vocalization.
are
Yep.
present
Yep.
know that then. Yeah, I think that's a really good tip because I was struggling to know in that moment. I'm very like get back down. You ain't coming out. Sit back down because I know that ain't ending. If she comes out, she ain't going back in. And so there's never allowed. It's like, no, you can have your energy, but sit over there. And so I don't experience that battle as much, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I wanted to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, no, I think the first thing for me would be to name it, and I name it out loud. This
Yeah.
aspect of myself is on the table right now. And I'll say it like my murderous bitch is out and it's valid because something something
She's
happened. I'm like,
valid.
okay. And it's knowing that she's a part of me. I'm not going to disown her is huge. Like that's a piece of me. Like I've worked very hard with that piece to make sure
Yeah.
that I have the appropriate communication with her. I don't slam her down. I don't push her away. I say, hey, you know what? You're allowed to be here too. And also, there's the component of my physical body who can understand that there's other maybe facets coming up, whether I'm extra triggered or maybe there's some other piece to that that brings back a memory of a trauma or something like
Yeah.
that. I'd say it's just continuing up with doing that consistently and going, oh, hey,
Hmm.
look, pieces of me on the table, and it could take you into a deeper route, right? If there's some trauma there that needs to move through your nervous system. And then
Yeah.
the patterning aspect of it. I think for me, the most important thing is it's okay that that's there. I'm not going to shame myself. I'm not going to blame myself for a piece of something that's coming up that's inside of me. I own it. I take accountability for it. I know where it comes from after enough awareness in myself. But if you're just starting out, this is a huge process. It's scary.
Yeah.
It takes over,
It
and
does. It does.
yeah, it's massive in that. And when it does, it's enough awareness to go, this is what's happening. I'm gonna stop for a second. Maybe take myself out of the space and awareness that if I continue, somebody else might get hurt. Um, there might be someone else who has a rager at me, and then it can continue in that way. It's just enough of that to be like, yeah, this is not where I want to be. It's also okay that it's here. I'm going to separate myself a little bit, and whatever regulation tools that you can use during that moment. I have plenty of songs that I turn on during that moment, or a
Yeah.
squishy or a ball, anything that can help my brain kind of go, okay, okay.
Yeah. And maybe like you say, making a playlist. I'm a big outside person. Like if I'm triggered, get me the fuck outside. Sit me on the grass. Sit me on the grass, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, music and just I need to be outside. I can't be in a room that has energy or space or walls. I need to be outside. Like I just feel so suffocated. So the outdoors is my thing. Like need to be in nature. And I think it is acknowledging these things. And like you say, I loved the reflection. Thank you for that as well. I think that's going to be great. Kind of just human little tips as well that need to be thought about, like move it through your body, actually physically release that tension, acknowledge the pressure, the emotion you're feeling in your body where it is, and kind of use techniques to shift out of it and move through it. I think that's a great idea. And I think most of all, like going back to the when I first initially met this sacred rage lady, I don't even want to call that because she's like the wild woman, this untamed, feral, walking on the jungle floor with mud all over and in the rainforest. Like she's
Yeah,
feral, but she's like the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in the
absolutely.
same sense, and there's just no words for it because the human words have become very hypersexualized, which are not what she is. It's like she's not doing it for approval or validation or even to be looked at. She don't care.
Yep.
It's just who she is. It's an essence. It's a frequency that creates this like sensual, sexual. She's just fire. And I'm sure so many of you will have seen her, met her, felt her before within you. And whether when you were younger or
Yep.
whether it is through anger, whether it was in motherhood when you had felt that mama bear activated inside, she has multiple facets. And when I had the plant medicine ceremony, one word just triggered this door opening,
Yep.
this blood. And it was actually someone who said he was not a woman, who said he knew what it was like to be a woman and he understood. Well, you can imagine. I was like, oh, really? Oh, really now? Let's go. And so I don't even remember what I said because it was actually pure channeling. I have no idea where it came from. But the words that were coming out, I could feel it so deeply in my body. I started to cry. There were two other girls, one of them being his girlfriend and one of them a friend of ours. And I looked at them and they're both crying. And it was like this acknowledgement, this unspoken energy that we all felt in that room. And it was just this of all these years and energy and micro suppressions and fear and as you can imagine, everything that you can feel and think of being a woman, and not just in this lifetime, in every lifetime before, and for our mothers and grandmothers and great grandparents before them, all the women in our lineage that walked before us and walked before us in a time where they didn't have the voice that we have, the ability to even do this, you know? And so it was like that, just deep, deep rage, but in the most sacred way. And that's the first time I've ever truly felt it like that in my body, embodied, and recognized it. And from then I've kind of met with her when I need her and she needs me, and we like do this little dance and she's a part of me. But I guess right now I really feel like we are learning to not just call it in and learning to hold it
Absolutely.
in place for where it's meant to be.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And wherever that leads us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Because
Thank
where is that going to lead us? I don't know.
Yep.
I have no idea. But she's there. And I guess that is the whole point. The doors are opening right now, maybe in ways we don't expect.
Yep.
You know, I'd had the plant medicine ceremony that day, and then it was after it that this whole activation and embodiment, that piece came through. And so, again, recently when I had one the other day and yesterday, a door opened through a conversation I was a little bit uncomfortable in, and I was a little bit triggered. And I just thought, no, it's fine, just sit through it, because it's not that much of a trigger, and this is important that we move through this.
Right.
And then it ended up being a great conversation to open new doors, to allow flow and to allow change and to allow expansion. And if I'd not have sat with that uncomfortableness for a minute or two, then I wouldn't have walked through that expansion. And so it is important we challenge ourselves sometimes to things that are going to help us grow, as long as it's not severely uncomfortable and triggering and awful, you know. It's just them moments of, yeah, this is a bit uncomfortable and I know you want to fight or flight it, but actually, is it that bad? Or is it just a fear thing that's going on? And you can just sit with it for a minute and work through it. And by working through that, the doors opened to flow again, to ideas and creation and sparks of fireworks and continuation, and moving out of that fear perspective. And so that was really important for me. And sometimes it just comes in the really ways we don't expect.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Be open to random doorways opening up in your life for the next step.
That you have no clue what that's going to look like. I think too, we noted earlier that it's been us not pushing or taking all the actions. It's been about allowing those things to come to us and giving the time to do so. Because I've definitely had to do that, where everything like I'm pulling in, like it's come through, but it's come through by me stepping way back, by me not doing all the things, right? I already planted the seeds, like why don't you just let it come? But it's never the way that I expect it to. So there's that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's never in the exact way. You can never, I don't think right now we're on the level of manifesting everything exactly in the exact detail. Maybe like you have premonitions and stuff and then you work on creating that. I think that can be a thing. But sometimes like what you actually think you want and the way you want it is not how it's going to happen and the way it's meant to happen in the flow. And that's okay. And it's accepting that both can coexist in that time. And, you know, you can create it and allow it to be what it's going to be. But yeah, I think a huge piece recently has been accepting trust. So that has not been the theme of 2026. I don't know what has. Trust and embodiment. And actually, ironically, at the beginning of the year, if you skip back to January, that we did a video and I'd done a candle ceremony and I did 13 things that I wanted to create this year, or that I wanted to do and that I wanted to change and work on. And I burned 12 of them and kept one. And this one, the whole thing, was regulate the nervous system and embody. And so this whole year, the rest of it was all like, you know, abundance and house and creation and da-da-da. And it was just, you know what? all that'll get sorted out. Just focus on embodiment and focus on regulating your nervous
Exactly.
system. And so that is exactly what I've been doing. And
Which
yeah, I
involves a
guess,
lot of trust.
yes. And that's been extremely difficult in the best of ways. It's been beautiful, but really, really challenging at times. And going back to that door opening, the lessons I've walked through, I did not expect them, and I did not expect them in that way.
Right.
But I am so grateful for them. I honestly feel honoured to have been through some of them, even though there was extremely testing and challenging for mind, body, and soul. But that's the part of you can't just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And,
Yep.
we set the intention, walk people through surrender and serenity, which is the retreat we are doing in 2026 in September.
Yep.
So we set the intention that that's what we're going to do. We're going to surrender to get serenity. And if we are going to help other people do that, then guess what? We have to
We
do it,
best
but
be
not
doing it
just
ourselves.
on these little levels. Like we're doing it,
Massive.
deeply, hugely. And so, and I don't mean that in an ego way, like, oh, because we're doing a retreat, we're doing it. No, we'd probably done it anyways, but makes sense to help hold space for people at the time that it's going on anyways. And so, yeah, I think these past 2 years for me, especially since entering into motherhood, have been about regulation, nervous system awareness, communication, and embodying that. And one of the first retreats I did was on mind, body, and soul.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of the work of that is based upon the core principles of what we did in that retreat, but kind of next leveled up, because we've got this embodiment piece and the nervous system piece that has to be integrated in, because all the work you want in the body and the herbs and the meditation and affirmations and great. But we got to go deep. We got to go to the nervous system, to the root, to the core, to the past lives, to the quantum realms. We've got to go to the multi places, but also, we're going to do it. Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know if I'm crashing.
You froze. You froze. You froze for a second. My
I
words.
am crashing out. I think my internet is crashing.
I'm like, we've got the stuff moving through because my nose started to drip.
There we go. My internet went away. My bad. But yeah, so we've been walking it, and yeah, we're ready to walk with it with you guys in September. We're really getting prepped, and there will be Lucy as well, who is our somatic embodiment facilitator. She's going to be helping us daily chakra yoga overlooking the Cretan Mountains in our private villas with pools and, ocean, mountain views. Just the most beautiful surroundings. It's going to be a sacred space, all inclusive. We're all going to be together, and it's going to be really magical, one-off, life-changing work. So if you are ready to make an investment in yourself and you are ready to reset, to regulate, to really learn how to come back home to yourself and take techniques that you can continue to do, then please do check out the links below and get your place, because there is only 13 left, I believe. So I do think they will be going fast. So if you do want to get your place, make sure you are checking that out, because they will fly by, and we are excited to hold you all there and hold some beautiful space with you guys.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Anya. I super appreciate you and your perspective. You're amazing.
No, thank you, Z. It's been a real beautiful time, and I've honoured the Sacred Ridge tonight. I think we did it good justice. And if anyone has any questions on this or any questions in general, just know that you're not alone going through this. You really are not. You are worthy. You are loved in all expressions of whatever's coming up. Trust that you are safe to go through this right now. And if it's coming up, it's the right time to work it out. And if you need anything, you know where we both are. Lots of love, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.